Update: am I the a-hole for not wanting to buy a house 3 hours away from my workplace? Original post: I don't know how to start this. I, 27 female, have been with my fiancé, 28 male, for 5 years. We've just recently saved enough for a deposit on a house, and he's found this cottage in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours away from where we currently live. The thing is, I already work an hour away. I am a nursery practitioner, and I love my workplace. I've been there since I was 20 and have worked my way up to a room lead position. Living 3 hours away from my job would not be ideal, but my fiancé won't budge on this house. He says it's perfect, within our budget, and quirky enough to fit our taste and home style. I've tried to communicate with him about this issue multiple times, bringing up the fact that there aren't even any nurseries in that area currently hiring. I don't want to find another job that's further out and have to start from the bottom again. He says it'll all work out if I just stop overthinking it, and that I've been at my current job for so long that it would be nice for me to start fresh. Another issue is that I want children. They've always been a huge deal breaker for me, and I don't think it would be a good idea to live so remotely when it comes to raising kids. We would have to get them to and from school or nursery before and after work every day. The nearest school or nursery is a 30-minute drive away from the house he wants, and we both start work fairly early and finish quite late. It would also be an issue in terms of their freedom as they grow up. I think it would be horrible to have to rely on your parents for transportation all the time and miss out on plans if they can't drive you. He really thinks I'm being dramatic about this and that I'll just figure it out. So, am I the a-hole for not wanting to move so far away from my job and basically all civilization? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You two are not on the same page. You need to sort that out before you get married. I am desperately trying to sort it out. I'm considering telling him that I will end the engagement if he continues to be unreasonable and doesn't consider my feelings on the matter. If he won't let you have a say in where you live and thinks he gets to make the decision, that is not a partnership. The 50s called and they want your fiancé back. Purchasing a home is a 2 yes or it's a no decision. If he doesn't think you're intelligent enough to know what you want in a home and where, you need to end the engagement. Take half the money saved for the home and put it aside for when you have a partner who respects and loves you enough to value your opinion and want you to be happy. Not just give in to his wants. Not the a-hole. Y'all didn't talk about where you wanted to live? You both should have discussed where exactly you wanted a home. You don't have to move somewhere you don't want to live. We did discuss it. We both want a nice cottage that's away from lots of people, but there are options near us, and even more that are actually closer to my job, that still have access to regular buses. There are even a few up for sale in a town with a train station within a reasonable walking distance. I don't know why he's suddenly so set on this house that's so far out, when we have plenty of available options that wouldn't move us hours away. Not the a-hole. If you've combined your funds, immediately remove your contributions from the account and safeguard the money. He absolutely will use all of it to buy the cottage. His plan is to isolate you and keep you away from your network of people. Luckily, I control our finances because I'm better with numbers, so I've already transferred my half of the savings into a different account. He won't even notice. He's usually very sweet and considerate, so I'm not sure what's gotten into him about this house. He loves my family, and we have the same friend group since we've known each other since high school, so I don't think he's trying to isolate me. Now for the update. I wasn't expecting to be able to update this fast, but here we are. First off, I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post and also add some context, as I realized my last post may have been lacking some. My fiancé and I have been together for 5 years, but I've known him for 12. In all the time I've known him, especially since we got together, he's always been sweet, taken my feelings into consideration, and hasn't actively ignored my opinion like this. It's always been a 2 yes, 1 no situation for decisions before this. We had a good relationship otherwise. We had date nights once a fortnight. We enjoyed each other's company, had aligned plans for the future, and shared the same ideals for a relationship. He watched me go through a few quite bad relationships over the years before we got together and did his best to be the opposite of my exes. Though he's always been quite pushy when it comes to sexual intimacy, so I guess that's an issue. But other than that, it was great, and we actually had a lot of talks about what we wanted in a house. We had agreed that we wanted a house or a cottage, either the same distance away or closer to my work. Somewhat remote, but still with a town or a city easily accessible by public transport and car. I'm not sure why he suddenly switched to wanting a house so far out from everything and everyone we both know. We live in the UK, and a 2-hour drive can have you in basically a whole other world. Anyway, the actual update. I had annual leave from work yesterday, and my now ex-fiancé was having a work-from-home day, something he's been doing more and more frequently lately. This is another reason he's so okay with the house he wants, because he can just switch to full-time work from home. In the morning, I sat down with him and tried to bring up the house. I laid out the same points from my last post yet again, and told him I am under no circumstances leaving my job. I love it, and I do not want to search for another. I brought up the countless other houses that fit our criteria and are closer to my work, some of which we have already viewed. We haven't even viewed the place he wants yet, as we haven't had the time, and I told him I do not want to, because I already know it's not what I want. I also asked him if he really thought it would be okay for me to have a 6-hour round commute every day, especially considering my shift starts at 8 a.m. so I would have to leave by 5 a.m. every morning and be up by around 4 a.m. My shifts typically finish at 5:30 p.m., so I wouldn't even be back home until 8:30 p.m. Would he be okay doing all the child care in the future, housework, and just everything that needed to be done because I would not be home for any of it? He didn't seem to take any of it to heart and still insisted I could find another job, maybe even one not in childcare. And that's what finally pushed me over the edge. Childcare has been my dream since I was a little girl, and I managed to find an absolute dream of a workplace that I know many childcare practitioners would kill to work for. How could I possibly leave that all behind when I've worked so hard for it? He told me he sat on this house, so either I accept it or I leave. I chose to leave. I gave his ring back and told him we're done, that he's not being the sweet, considerate man I fell in love with, and that I don't know why he can't see my side of things in this. I do not want to live a life with somebody who doesn't consider how I feel in all of this. This completely shocked him, and he started begging me to rethink, that we could figure something out, but I refused and went to pack my things. I'm staying with my brother and his wife now, which is nice because they live closer to my workplace, a 30-minute drive instead of an hour, and I get to spend time with my little nieces. I am hurting, but I also feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I do not deserve to have my opinion disregarded, and he certainly did not value it. I guess it's onwards and upwards, as they say, but I definitely won't be dating for a long time after this. He didn't even give up. We can figure something out, means his option is still on the table. He just wants to keep debating even after you dumped him. Man really wants that house. I'm betting he can't afford it without her, though. And/or she does a lot of work around the house, and with her gone, he's going to have to start cooking and cleaning again. Oh, damn. He thought he could strong-arm you into agreeing with him. He thought you would relent because you were engaged and would never walk away. And then you called his bluff and he realized he didn't hold the control over you he thought he did. Good on you for calling his bluff and getting rid of him. He would have 100% used that tactic again and again if you had stayed with him. Mask definitely came off. Next story. Am I the a-hole for vetoing my wife's car purchase in the dealership and walking her out of there without looking at the car she picked out? So my 29 male wife, 27 female, is a stay-at-home mom by her choice until the kids are old enough to go to school. Her older Honda SUV recently bit the dust when it needed some major repairs that totaled more than the value of the car. This happened right at the beginning of my work week, so unfortunately, I didn't have the time to sit with her and look at cars immediately. I told her she could do some research first, or she could wait until my day's off and we could do the research together. I gave her a maximum budget of $20,000, but said it was flexible if she found something she really liked. In the meantime, I lent her my car, a Mustang Mach-E, and took public transit or Uber to work during the week. On one of my half days, I got a call from my wife saying that I needed to come to a dealership after work to look at a new car she wanted. I got a sinking feeling knowing she went to a dealership without me, knowing how predatory they can be, so I asked for the address. It was a Lexus dealer. I asked who recommended it, and she said that one of her friends has a boyfriend who works there, and that they would work out a nice deal for her. That friend happens to drive a Lexus and managed to get my wife in love with her car. I got off work and drove over to the dealership. On the phone with my wife, I located her and this car sales professional. I asked if she had seen and driven the car. She said yes, and that she liked it. I asked the salesman, "How much is it?" out the door. He said, "Well, your wife and I were discussing some options. How much do you have down?" I said, "Honey, we're not buying a car today. Let's go." She asked why, and I said because he can't give us a straight answer about how much the car costs. He said hold on and printed out the sheet. The used 2020 Lexus GX 460 she was looking at was an eye-watering $56,000 after taxes, fees, and add-ons. I said, "No, honey, that's not what we agreed on." She asked if I could at least look at the car before we left, but I said no. The salesman tried to butter me up and sell me on the car, saying they could work on the price, but I just took the keys from my wife and left. Eventually, I was able to sit her down and show her some much more affordable options that wouldn't require us to finance the car and go back into debt. She ended up purchasing a nice used Honda Pilot Touring that she liked. That car, purchase price plus some overdue maintenance, came out to about $21,000. This incident, in the grand scheme of marriage, was a blip. But she did say I seemed cold and unreceptive to what she wanted at the dealership, and I defended myself by saying that the sales strategy at dealerships is sometimes to make one spouse fall in love with a car and feel like the salesperson is on their side, so that they might purchase it even if it's not a good decision for the couple. Am I the a-hole for how I handled the dealership situation? Her friend is also a little upset that I treated her boyfriend rudely at the dealership, but from my perspective, that wasn't my wife's friend's partner. That was a car salesman trying to put us in $800 a month debt for the next 5 years. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your wife is a target and a salesman's wet dream. I don't blame her. The newer Lexuses look like spaceships inside compared to her old Honda. Luckily, I knew enough about cars that I was able to sell her on a slightly used, upper trim Honda Pilot with leather interior and a nice sound system, since she's a metalhead. Car sales here. You are 1000% right, LOL. Every tactic you described is exactly what they do, lol. Good work. Yup. Ask for out the door and don't freaking answer any questions about financing unless you're being super vague. And you're never buying a car that day. Even if you want to, don't. You were kind of ambushed with something other than what you agreed on. Not the a-hole. I think you handled it the best you could. Yeah, this 100%. Ambushed, then gaslit. I bend over backwards to accommodate you, lend you my car, take public transit, come up with a mutual agreement that makes you happy and won't put us in debt. You completely disregard all of that. Go over my head and consult with 2 people who financially benefit from this transaction. Then ambush me at a dealership and expect me to sign paperwork? I point out this sleazy sales tactic, remind you this isn't what we agreed on, and you're mad at me? You're going to gaslight me into feeling bad about a situation you selfishly put yourself into, huh? OP is a way kinder man than I, not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that being a stay-at-home mom to teens isn't a full-time job? My wife, 37 female, and I, 37 male, have been married for 15 years. We have 2 kids who are now 14 and 12, the eldest isn't mine, both in school from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. The bus picks them up in front of our house and drops them off. Sometimes they'll have after-school activities and stay until 5 p.m., and I'll go pick them up after I get out of work on those days. They're becoming more independent now, and I had a discussion with my wife about how she could get a job. She's never had one besides being a stay-at-home mom now that the kids are older, and I'm retiring from my 20-year military career and could stay home and be a stay-at-home dad. She doesn't enjoy cooking or cleaning, so I figured it'd be best if I stepped into those roles so we could eat less takeout and have a healthier diet. The kids eat breakfast and lunch at school. When they go to school, she typically goes to the gym, yoga, then out for coffee, browses social media, goes shopping or window shopping, or gets her hair, nails, eyebrows, eyelashes, makeup, etc. done. Then comes home to cook dinner. I brought it up as gently as I could, but she still called me ungrateful and accused me of not appreciating all the hard work she does in the house. Now there's tension, and she's acting cold toward me. Am I the a-hole? Did you have this discussion about her getting a job once the children became more independent, or is this just another back burner issue you both ignored before she got pregnant? We discussed it. I paid for childcare and for her college while the kids were young, and now she has a bachelor's degree in psychology she hasn't used. My gut says you're screwed on this one. She's never had a job and doesn't sound like she wants one. So what is your post-military career going to be? I mean, even if she wanted to get a job, who is hiring a mid-30s, I assume woman with zero resume in today's job market? That's an uphill battle to say the least. Husband would have a much easier time finding a job, I suspect. Or they can get ready to live lean on the retirement salary. Grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, local stores, or if she's looking for something that she's qualified for, she could do daycare. Everyone has to start somewhere. These jobs aren't shameful just because they're entry level. Not sure what rank you're retiring at, but 1. Congrats on retiring. 2. Make sure you do your VA stuff. Make sure any ache or pain is documented, and make sure it's documented more than a couple of times. 3. Pick a low cost of living place to retire. 4. Predict your VA disability and retirement check. Then make a budget from there, because there's no guarantee that she will get a job. Show her the breakdown of your current cost of living or spending. 5. Also, get used to being paid once a month and learn how to budget that. It took me a few years after I got out to figure out how to manage going from 2 checks to 1. 6. Just be honest with your wife. Also to add, if he is eligible for the GI Bill, then that can be allocated to his children, at least partially. My sister and I split our dads. We each got 24 months, which helped a bunch. It also might grant in-state tuition if you attend an out-of-state institution, but that depends on the school.